And here we are spawning in the upper right. In the blue, he is, of course, representing Alpha X, the North American Protoss player. He is Astrea. And his opponent here in the bottom left, in the red, of course, he is for Kites of Gaming. Give it up for Solar. And I need to remember that I have instant replay set up. It's been long enough that I have... it's been long enough since I've cast on this channel versus the CEA or different Alpha X stuff that I kind of forgot about it. And because I really haven't cast on my own channel since last Monday, which is kind of sad. But, you know, I didn't do Saturday because my girlfriend was in town. And, well, she's my priority when she's in town. And other than that, you know, I had ITAX, I had CEA, a lot of stuff on other channels. So it's good to be back here on my own channel indeed. As we're just going to have to see what Solar have in store for us. I got to figure that Solar is the favorite player here. In fact, let's take a look at this. What does a Ligulac have to say about what about the prospective outcomes of this game? Wasn't there a Twitch bot that would do Discord predictions or would do a Ligulac predictions at one point? I think there was. I should enable that if I can find it. All right, so Ligulac says that Astrea has a 20% chance to win this series. Solar is, well, 21%. Astrea's at 78%. About a 30% chance it's going to be 3-0 or 3-1, and then a 20% chance it's going to be 3-2 in Solar's favor. So, Astrea here, he's obviously not the favorite, but I mean, we just saw him beat Scarlet, a player that has 2-0'd him in the last 3 times. So, is he as unfavored as a Ligulac says he is? Or are we looking at something that is a little bit more even? Right? Is Astrea turning over a new leaf? Is he showing some form that he has not previously? Now, it will be a Stargate here to start. Should not surprise anyone who has been watching this series thus far. But really the question is, how does he go out of this? Does he go for that Charge That Archon style? I'm sure Solar, while he was sitting here waiting, was watching one of the streams. See exactly what Astrea does do, because, hey, you know what? PvZ into PvZ, it's nice to have a good idea of what your opponent is going for. All right, so Void Ray will be the first. I don't even remember what I said about the low-key flex on us nerds. If you tell me what it was, I'll do it again. Anyways, look at this. We do have an Oracle's going to fly out here into the natural. Astrea getting some damage done. This is not weird though, right? This is kind of that number you're looking at. There's 3 drones. Sometimes you get 0, sometimes you get 4, but. Astrea here, he's going to be pretty happy with that. He does get some damage done with a single Oracle, and he is going for a second. Now, there is a build that Zest has been doing, rather recently, that has been, it's effectively, it's like a 2.5 base carrier build, where he actually gets like 3 Oracles. And then he goes on into carriers behind it, but with that build, it's not all that great. Well, it's not this one, right? I was thinking, oh, maybe extra Oracles, but no. Because that doesn't get any Void Rays whatsoever. It just goes 3 Oracles into an immediate Void Ray. And man, Solar's getting really good trades here. He's killed off 2 Adepts, and he's going to force a 3rd Warp in. So this is money that Astrea would prefer to not spend, and this is something that Solar's just really good at. You see this in like almost every ZVP. He moves across the map with like 10 Zerglings right around the 430 mark and says, yeah, let me get some trades. And is he going to knock down the 3rd base? No, but he's also not committed enough to even think about knocking down the 3rd base. The whole goal of this is to force Astrea's attention elsewhere. Force a couple more warp ends where he would rather that just be tech, rather that be drones, or probes, excuse me. Oh, yeah. And, you know, Lion's Teeth, I don't even have the Canada excuse, because actually she's the opposite from Canada. She's in Texas most of the time. But, You know, you'd think I would be going with a Canada excuse, you know, considering I'm up here in New Hampshire. But no. Funnily enough, I don't even have to use that one. I mean, the Zerglings will find their way on in, and or excuse me, the Depths will find their way on in. But hey, you know, 2 more workers do go down, and let's see, Solar's lost 7, excuse me, total drones in this game, which is non-zero. It's not nothing, but certainly we would Solar or Astrea might want to get a little bit more. Look at this immediate swarm host here in this game number 1. Astrea did suffer from that against Scarlet in his game number 1. Now, granted, that was a very different game. Scarlet waddled on in with a bunch of queens, with a bunch of roaches, knocked down the natural, and got a lot of damage done there. In this game, we've seen none of that. In fact, Astrea has been the one that is doing the majority of the damage, but it will be swarm host nonetheless. And when I think of this style, I mean, it is Solar that I think of that has done this. So, or hey, look, the oracles will fly on in, and a couple more workers will go down. Not even real shield damage taken, so, or no hull damage taken, not really. So Astrea, he's sitting comfortable in this game. Now, he may not be comfortable for that much longer because, again, this is 9 swarm hosts on the way, and we don't have any chart. We don't have any storm. We don't have any disruptors. Nothing like that. And this is the Solar iteration of this build. We see a lot of players go, and they go on in. They're like, yeah, it's a pressure build. It's on 65 workers, but we're not going to walk the queens. This is just roaches and swarm hosts, and we're going to try to win through attrition. That is not the Solar stuff. Well, actually, never mind. His queens are walking. Or queens are not walking, excuse me. But Solar does do a queen all-in version of this build. Now, Astrea is aware of what's happening here, and notice he has canceled his 4th base. All hands on deck here, trying to hold what he needs to. And his supply is not too far. I mean, it's down. Don't get me wrong. But it's not too disastrous to try to make this hold happen. Oh, look at this dude. He's going to find the army before the locusts are really dropped on out. So that will mean that, okay, so I think we should hallucinate. If you hallucinate a unit and eat the swoop, maybe that's going to be good. Now, shield battery overcharge is going to get popped immediately here. Another shield battery is actually keeping this first battery alive. So for the start of this hold, we're not seeing all that much. The Robo's going to get targeted down, but it will not go down here. Nice initial hold here for Astrea. You see it here at 133 workers, another couple warping rounds. He's going to be at that magic number of 150. That's going to make things that much more powerful. Now the roaches now Astrea's army here in general is going to try to get on top of these swarm hosts, but they will not be successful. The army's not big enough yet, but it will be soon. Now Astrea here, he's on like 150 supply, and look at this charge lot warp in. This is fantastic here for Astrea. He's going to force the attention here from Solar back on the other side of the map, which means the swarm host, they're not going to be able to release their locusts for a while, which buys Astrea time. That's all he needs. If he gets storm, he's going to be in a much better situation in this game. He's only going to get like 4 drones actually. That's not a lot. And actually, with the stasis trap here as well, the locusts are getting literally nothing done. And it's kind of a funny thing. So the locusts, you don't see their timers on them, but their timers will time on out. So there we go. Yeah, they die under stasis, which is not something that I knew can happen. Now we do have these charge lots. They're going to try to assassinate a base. And you know what? Solar's not reacting to this. I mean, he functionally is on 3 bases anyways. It's kind of a 3-base all-in, so not that it really matters. And maybe Astrea wants that army on the other side of the map, but I mean, the swarm hosts, they don't have their cooldowns yet. And Bio will go on down, land on a bunch of roaches. But we have storm done. We have disruptors here. Now, do we have any High Templar? No, we don't. So that's a bit of a problem. You kind of want the High Templar if you have committed to storm like that. But the Archon's actually doing a fantastic job splashing down a lot of these locusts before they're able to complete. But that being said, the Immortals are now, they are taking fire, and that's going to be a big problem. Now, a second disruptor does come on out, but now disruptors are, well, they are rapidly, they're not going to be much more of them as the Robo is dead. And Astrea, I think he maybe just committed a little bit too much to two disparate tech paths. He's got a 4th base on the way, and yes, he has killed 15 more drones, but that's just not going to be enough. GG Astrea. He taps out. Solar takes game number 1. And man, that was looking really good there. As look, it's a disappearing mic arm. It's here. It's not here. Fantastic. Magic. Mystery madness. All those fun things that you didn't know you needed. But what you get anyways here out of a Beowulf stream. Something like that. But now we're going to wait here for game number 2. Really, it did look good for Astrea, excuse me, in game number 1. He had what he needed, it felt. He was doing a really good job of distracting Solar from what he wanted to do, right? With those warp-ins, he got a couple workers, but more importantly, he knocked down a couple of Ravagers, he killed a Queen, and he forced the entire ground army of Solar back home. Now, if Astrea had been able to jump on top of those swarm hosts, as almost all the roaches ran back into the main base, That would have been fantastic there. And I think that's the next level play that Astrea has to do. But with that being said, that does now mean that Solar has a 1-0 lead. As now we're just waiting here for our second lobby to come on up. And then we'll get on into things even more so. There we go. Lightshade wasn't... Wait, that was Oxide. Okay, Lightshade will be our second map here. Oh, and while we sit here, if you kind of like what I do, or if you like StarCraft in general, make sure to go check out Steadfast's stream as well. That is twitch.tv/steadfastsc. He honestly hits all the metric for partner. He really should have partner, but he doesn't. His Twitch is being annoying. So I guess the only way to do that, the only way to get him partner, to get him what really he does deserve, is get even more people following him and watching him. So if you got a spare tab, make sure to go check out his stream as well. You don't want to listen to him, that's fine. Bring the volume down to like near 0 and you're still good there. Well, you know what? Maybe listen to his voice in one ear and mine in the other. I don't know. Definitely go give him a follow. He's an awesome guy, fantastic caster, and well, he should have partner by now. So that's what he should have it. But anyway, we do have our second game in this series. It's loaded on up. Solar. Honestly, Astrea looked good in that series, but in that last game. But Solar, he had what he needed, and now we're gonna go on in to our second game. Here we are, spawning in the upper left in the blue. Looking good in game number 1, but maybe not quite having enough. For Alpha X, he is Astrea. And his opponent here in the bottom right in the red. For Kites of Gaming, he is Solar. So deliver us from, as you're sitting here talking in chat a little bit. What is deliver us from a reference to? Is it a reference to was it Psalm 16? Is it a reference to a video game? I don't know. Just curious. I like the stories behind people's names. Like Max Pax, for example. In Latin, his name is the greatest piece. But I talked to him for a while. He's like, yeah, no. My dad just picked that name for me. It doesn't mean anything. But my name is Max, right? Max Pax, whatever. And then he went and I asked him a couple of them. I'm like, hey, just check with your dad. Like, I'm curious. He gets back to me. He's like, yeah, it's the Latin. It's the greatest piece. I'm like, yes. I feel really smart. But I just like hearing people's stories. So I like hearing the stories behind usernames. Often it's kind of interesting. You know, it's either like, yeah, I did this thing, or these things are just really important to me. I think these things are just really important to my life. These are my aspirations. These are my dreams. And therefore, that's my username. I threw 20 letters together, and that's what came out with. They're all interesting, so I'm always curious to find out about that, and I like people talking. So, and honestly, that's one of the best outputs, best results of streaming and covering these events is I get to talk to people. And now it's not real time; we are in a 2-minute delay. Unfortunately, I understand why we have to, but it does make things a little bit annoying. So it means I can't in real time talk to people. Well, I think I said earlier, friends I haven't met yet. Welcome. So I do like being able to meet people and talk to people and hear their stories. So I'm glad you're all here. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. We had some awesome Scarlet games. And, well, here the tension just rackets on up. We should probably talk about this game, though, just a little bit. Although, we're not seeing anything we didn't see in game number 1. We do see Astrea here. Well, you know what? He's going to get no, he will not. He will force 2 spores. And that is going to be about 25 minerals there. Just about, I think it's actually like 20 minerals there in cancellation cost. Oh, 36. Never mind. All right, so now third base on the way here for Astrea at the standard time. Well, it's not on the way yet, but it will be. He's going to get this one up, maybe even a little. No, okay, he won't. So 350 here, third base for the Alpha X Protoss player. It was what? Void Ray into Oracle. No surprise there is with this Void Ray here protecting the third base. I think the Zergling aggression from Solar maybe is going to be a little bit less impactful than it was in the previous game because Solar didn't sacrifice any of his adepts. Yes, he got some damage. He got some damage done with it. He just about a drone's worth of damage. 36 minerals. He didn't move them across the map, so they did not die, which meant they are going to be there to defend the third base. Now we do have this Void Ray here on the left-hand side. Well, all it does really is just forcing queens on the left, which is actually rather useful. Because now that means the Oracle can try to dive on into the natural and just try to get a stasis trap off, which will be unsuccessful. But here's the thing. Astrea has seen this Roach Warren, as the stasis trap is going to do nothing, really nothing here. Astrea has seen the Roach Warren, and more importantly, he's seen that this Roach Warren is hidden behind the mineral line, which means that Solar maybe wanted to hide that. Right, normally you just see the Roach Warren in the wall, and that's that, but that's a really interesting Roach Warren positioning, so maybe that might tell Astrea that, yes, Solar has designs on a Roach timing, and well, considering the fact that we have more and more Overlords on the way, there is no lair on the way here. This will be a Roach Queen timing coming on in from Solar. How many queens does he have? He has 7, which honestly is more than enough to deal with like the two Oracles and the Void Ray, which is all that he has. Hey, Anakins9418, thank you so much for joining us here today. Welcome, welcome. Hope you're having a good day. Good night, maybe. Good afternoon, good evening. Whatever time it is. I don't really know. Let me know. Hey, is Holy Lime a reference to Holy Hit? Or is it just different? But look at these Zerglings are getting a lot of damage done even before the pressure really starts. Now, oh, look at this. A queen will go down. That's actually really big here for Astrea. If he's able to knock down these queens, that takes out so much damage. Well, not damage, but so much buffering and so much healing out of this push, which is implicitly damage. So now we do have the push coming on in here well, not once again, but for the first time in this series, we saw a similar push go on in and pretty much kill Astrea in game number 1 of Scarlet versus Astrea, and Astrea won those next 2 games, so we might see something happen here. Ideally, of course, Astrea does hold. Well, that being said, though, oh, you know what? Honestly, Astrea, he should have that hold once again. The question, though, is whether he's going to take more or less damage. Indeed, as now, well, the Dark Shrine is done. Astrea, though, is a little bit supply blocked, but you know what? Honestly, losing these probes is a bit of a, it's a bit of a blessing in disguise, because it means the DTs can now warp on in, which means that this push is eventually going to get cleaned up. Now, 9 workers are dying, and this third base should die. But this is a 48 drone all in here from Solar. Right, this is, in fact, more of a commitment than you're than like a 60-odd worker push, something like that. So these DTs are going to be able to clean on up rather well. And look at that stasis truth. So that means nothing's going to find its way on into the natural. That is a true wall. Now the DTs, they're just going to knock down every single Ravager here in this game. Maybe one will remain, but that's going to be just about it. And yes, the third base was broken, but this is fantastic counter damage here from Astrea. Meanwhile, of course, we do have Solar. He is droning on up behind this. He's doing what he can to make that happen. Oh, okay, that's the problem, though. I think there were some probes here outside of the third base that Astrea was trying to hide, and he was not all that successful in doing so. And with that being the case, I mean, now Astrea, he doesn't have the worker count that he previously had. Hey, Dumb666, thank you so much for the follow, dude. Thank you, welcome, welcome, welcome. All right, so now we will have Zerglings. They're going to keep shirking around here. They really shouldn't be able to get that much done, not anymore, because well, we do have the DTs here, and we do have, well, there's enough in the natural that the Zerglings won't get a lot done. But really, what I'm more worried about is the follow-up. So we don't have +1, nothing like that. But we do have a 4th base on the way here for Solar. He's only on 61 workers, though. It looks like more than anything else, he's just gearing up for the follow-up. This time, DTs, Dark Templar, will not be able to hold by themselves. Because, well, there are going to be observers, or overseers. That being said, though, we do have Blink done. And how many Blink Stalkers do we have? We have 5, and we have a Void Ray as well. So, theoretically, with only the 1 Overseer, if you blink on top of the Overseer, you all in on that, you kill it off, and then you just get a couple more DTs, and that's the hold once again. So we're going to have to see whether that is something that Astrea is going to be able to do, whether that's even something he wants to do. As now, once again, Solar, he's getting ready to move out on the map here. And this army, honestly, it's even scarier than before. It is now a 80 army supply lead, 70 army supply lead here for Solar. He's getting ready to move on in. And that's just a lot of Zerglings, a lot of Roaches, a lot of Ravagers. Zerglings will find their way on into the natural. Solar not even believing that it's open at first, that it's not a trap, but it is not a trap, no Solar. He's going to move on into the natural. We're going to start to see so much go down. Now, it looks like the DTs are getting a lot of damage down here on the other side of the map. I would have preferred to have them on the defensive. Blink Stalkers, they're good, but there's just not enough of them here. And there's actually just not enough production in general. The natural was saved. I'm not exactly sure what killed all that off. But these Stalkers here, they've been backed on into a corner. Yes, blinking is good. Blinking is powerful indeed, but if you're back into a corner like that, there's only so much that you can do. As looks like the DTs are actually getting up. Looks like they have been cleaned on up. Biles will not land. And you know, it's only a 30 army supply lead now. It's not the 70 that it was previously. Astrea and Solar have similar worker counts. And if Astrea can hold here, well, he maybe has a shot, but the third base will go down once again. And with the third base going down, I mean, it's going to be a lot more difficult here for Solar, or for Astrea, as we do have recall coming on in. So Astrea is going to try to retreat to the natural. And he does have a worker lead. But it's really not a question of worker leads anymore. It's a question of army leads. It's not, as we talked about, that 30 army supply lead as being manageable. 50 army supply lead, maybe less so. I really just want to see the Stalkers just blink on in there, target down the Overseer, but maybe that's just a little bit too all in. Now this wall at the front is getting targeted down, and we're soon only going to have two actual working warp gates. Now disruptors are really good against this composition. Queens are slow and cumbersome. Ravagers are slow and cumbersome. So that is something that is going to be a problem here. The Stalkers are blinking back further and further and forward. It's only a 20 army supply lead now. And, well, the natural is getting broken, though. That's a bit of a problem. Meanwhile, these DTs are getting a lot of damage done, but not enough, as they actually will just eventually get targeted on down here. Probes are going to get pulled up into the main base. 18 more probes will go down. This disruptor shot has a chance to be really big, but it's not going to be big enough. The natural here will go on down, I think, but now the DTs are going to start to try to clean this up. And there we go. The blink on the Overseer. Now this hold is achieved, but I think it's a little bit too little, too late here. The natural does go down. It is a 1-base Protoss against a 4-base Zerg. 3-base Zerg, actually, as that base did go down. Oh, you know what? There's no queens here. This Void Ray can kill this base. And you know what? We can see a snowball return here from Astrea. It's weird. It's not your standard, but this Void Ray actually. So this third base should die. It's going to be a 2-base Zerg against a 1-base Protoss who has DTs. And now the Oracles are going to fly on in, which means these queens, yeah, these are dead queens. And with that, the Oracles being here on the aggressive, this is a dead mineral line too. So yes, queens are actually going to pop out, so they're going to just die. The Oracle does need to be microed, and it will stay alive. All right, we have an Overseer though. With the disruptors here on the high ground, okay, Stalkers will be able to stay alive. Natural will get canceled, but I mean, there are 2 disruptors on the high ground. This is a difficult position here for Solar to break. Oh, the Void Ray died. I really thought there was enough HP there for the Void Ray to take out the queen. So here we are, 23 workers to 37. It's notionally a 3-base Zerg, but not really. And the Oracles, they just don't have the energy they need. That's the big deal. Like, they could very much go do and snipe some stuff, but it's not going to be worthwhile here. And GG, Solar, he takes a 2-0 lead. There we go. I need to mechanize this, right? So I can have like games closed. I can have it so the mic looks good on stream, and then games on, move it to the other side of my mouth so I can actually see my screen properly. That's what we need to do. That sounds like a project for another day when I actually have time. Something like that. So let's see. We're just going to wait here for our third game in this series. Solar is up 2-0, which shouldn't surprise anyone, but I mean, Astrea has looked within punching distance in both of those games. He looks like he's had a puncher's chance, is I think the actual term that I am looking for. And now we're going to get on into game number 3 eventually. It will be Juggernaut. It's a longer map. As it's interesting here. We do have the maps going from like really small to getting bigger. The boom armor is messing with my hand. From being kind of small to getting even bigger. So Solar's going to get on in here. Then we're going to get ready to go. But again, that's pretty interesting, right? If we're going to follow that logic, then it's going to be 2,000. Wait, actually, is Romanticide or 2,000 atmospheres bigger? Anyway, it's going to be 2,000 atmospheres for game 4 and Romanticide for game 5, or vice versa, which does mean that theoretically if Astrea is able to survive this game. We're going to get on into maps that are marginally more favorable for the playstyle that he is trying to play. Which, if that's the case, I mean, I like his odds, I think. All right, so now we do have game number 3 is loaded on up here. Solar has a 2-0 lead. Astrea, he's fighting for his life in this tournament. Fighting for a chance at the grand finals to take down Zest. Do that, though. He's got a reverse sweep now. Let's get on in to game 3. And here we are spawning in the bottom left in the blue. He is, of course, representing Alpha X here in this semifinals. Is back against the wall. Give it up for Astrea. And his opponent in the upper right in the red. He is the Sun from Kaitsa Gaming. Give it up for Solar. Thank you so much for joining me here today, or staying with me even after the Scarlet Games did end. I know that's why a lot of you were here. And sorry, I'm really kind of sad that she lost out to Astrea. Strictly because I wanted to see Scarlet ZVZ. She always has some fancy builds. But you know what? As a member of Alpha X, I can't say I'm too sad. I mean, I'm a little, but I'm happy you all decided to stick with me even after Scarlet did get knocked on out. But neither here nor there. I guess it's here and there. It's everywhere. What was the man, you know, it's been a while since I've seen a movie. What was the surround sound that, you know, had that promo? It's like it's all around. ITX. Anyway, we do now have Solar. Of course, he's not going to take his natural at his natural. He's going to take his natural at his third because, I mean, that's just the meta at this point. Zergs have kind of learned that they're never going to be able to take their natural at 16. Not if they want it. Well, to get it at normal timing. So that's what we see here. No big deal. Now Astrea, he's opening Stalker, and it actually will be a Twilight here build for this game number 3. And there are a couple ways he can go with this. He can go DTs, like he did go in game number 2. Granted, it was out of a Stargate, so maybe not quite as fast. But he can go for a Stargate play, something like that. Or sorry, he can go for a dark DT play, something like that. I've seen DT drops start to show up in the meta a little bit more. Granted, they're still not all that popular, but I've started to see them show up more and more. He can go for a charge lot all-in of some sort. Again, kind of weird. Blink DT is also kind of weird, but realistically, this is most likely going to be for Adept Claves. Here's the question, though. His teammate, Joan, has started playing this build that is 3-gate Adept Claves, not 4. 3-gate Adept Clave, pseudo pressure into a quick third base, into a +1 Blink Stalker Immortal Sentry all-in. But that is not what we're going to see here. In fact, this will be a DT drop. So it should be 3-gate DT drop coming on in, trying to see what he can get done. Into, of course, Archon drops into that pressure as he does take his third base behind it. But you got to remember, outside of maybe like a 3-gate Adept thing that really doesn't have to get damage done as long as you get some implicit damage done, aka, you know, forcing some roaches, things like that. A build like this does have to get something done. Astrea does have to knock down a couple queens, kill some workers if possible, and in general, cause some sort of hiccup to the production, to the game plan of Solar here in this game. So we do have a Roachborn on the way at 4 minutes, as one would expect. Spores in the main base only at 3:30. Is there, of course, more queens here? Actually, how many further queens? There are 4 queens, so 3 queens in the main. You know what? This is a very anti-Stargate opener from Astrea, or from Solar, excuse me, which means that, you know what? These DTs can actually get a lot done. We have spines. Yeah, this is an anti-adept sorry, not anti-DT or anti-Stargate. This is an anti-Adept opener. And that is interesting indeed, especially considering this is only 2-gate DT. It's not 3-gate. The DTs are going to run on into the high... Oh, that was a mistake. Now we have spores on the way, and we got a body block attempted here from Solar. A body block that should work, actually. Now the DTs are just going to find this, and you know what? There is no spore here. That spore was just going to get taken on down. Now we're going to have a spore. It's going to attempt to replant. But this just means that on it, okay, they will not be able to target that down, but they will be able to run on into the main base. There we go, and that is another chance for okay, that spore should die, actually. The body block is not there yet. It's not going to be good enough. Spores are... Just kill the spores. But no, okay. The queens are going to get assassinated here. One queen goes down. Second queen... It's going to go down as well. Okay, there we go. So we are starting to see some queens start to go on down here. And this is damage from Astrea. This is actually really good damage here from Astrea. Now, the DTs can't get much more done yet. They can't go too deep in because, well, there's a spore here. We still don't have a lair, though. So this is just pure spore defense. Which means, theoretically, if a bunch of DTs maybe find this spore in the third where the queens are not, maybe they could take that base down. But now, well, if you're aggressive abroad, you're maybe not going to be able to defend at home. As the Zerglings are going to try to get something done here on the other side of the map, and they will be unsuccessful. Okay, so Archon drops on the way. I'm surprised there's only one Archon. Okay, there we go. 2 more DTs will get warped on, and we will see more Archons here. And behind this Astrea, he is fully powering up on 3 bases. Immortals... There's a weird Immortal walk. Immortals are being produced here. Charges on the way. We will see +1 on the way rather soon. So yeah, it's not going to be 3 gates Adept into Blink Stalker, but it will be Immortal Charge-led Archon. And that is still a powerful composition despite the meta changes. So now the Queen is not going to get... It's not going to go down. It's only 1 Archon. But this is forcing units from Solar. This is forcing a tech path from Solar that maybe, just maybe, is not the one that Solar wants to go down. This seems to be a bit of a mistake, though. We do have a second Templar Archives on the way, as the first one is actually just about done. Yeah, so Astrea making a little bit of a mistake there. And that is going to be unfortunate. That's not money you want to be spending on a duplicate of the same structure. You want to be getting store. So we're going to have to see whether he kind of realizes this. Zerglings, they're going to continue to shark around, but they will not really be able to get that much done. And Astrea here, he's in a pretty good spot. Right, he has really blunted any sort of aggression that the Zerg is going to go for. He's going to get a lot of these roaches. The force fields, Astrea, are you paying attention? Are you going to be able to get those force fields that you're looking for? Okay, he doesn't need them anyways. He's going to get on top of them immediately. There's the force field that we're looking for. So many roaches will go on down. Massive move here for Astrea. And now he's up on army supply. He's got a lot of charge loss warping on in. It is his time to get aggressive here on the map. Yes, he's got a 4th base on the way, but that's not exactly relevant to the issue at hand. The issue at hand, he's got a terrifying army. There are not a lot of roaches, not a lot of ravagers. It's a powerful ground pound army here, and now Astrea, he's looking to take Solar to task for the previous 2 games. He's going to move on in. There's just not a lot here. Archon's getting on top of everything, getting their good splash damage off. But the Biles will land, and that's already starting to be a bit of a problem here. Zerglings will be able to cancel the 3rd base as well, but it's not a question of whether the Zerglings cancel the 3rd base. It's whether Solar holds this. And the Queens are starting to go on down. The Roaches are starting to go on down. Archon's getting on top of everything. GG Astrea. It's a series, ladies and gentlemen. Astrea takes the game. And there we go, Astrea, he took a game. It's now 2-1. We're going to have to see whether he can continue that streak, though. Whether he can continue that comeback and find his way to the grand finals. He's accomplished the most difficult task. Well, I guess the most difficult task is winning the series, but he has started that task. He has taken a map. And, okay, so it will be interesting. Beckett was not banned out. And I'm actually not totally sure how I feel about this map in ZVP yet. Okay, anything versus Terran, yeah, it's a massively Terran favored map. Don't even worry about it. But it does feel a little bit Protoss favored in the meta, so long as you survive the Queen push, which is a big if, because you can get creep there outside of your opponent's main base immediately, pretty much. You can pretty much do these queen walks that happen when the Queens are like, they don't ever have to leave creep, and they're already in the Protoss player's 3rd base. So that's a bit of a problem. But if you're able to survive that stage, I mean, there are just not a lot of bases, which means, well, that's less bases there for the Zerg, so you're not really going to have that massive mining advantage. And your 3 bases are somewhat defensible, right? They're kind of choked off. So what I've seen a lot of players like Zest do, for example, is he says, look, you know what? I know you're going to do a queen walk. You know what's really good against the queen walk? 2-base carrier. So I've seen Zest at the very least do a lot of 2-base carrier builds on this map, in this matchup in particular. And then, well, we saw Solar actually, who, because I actually saw this back-to-back in two separate series. It was actually Solar who said, okay, well, I'm just going to do a 3-base Hydra Nidus Queen, and I'm going to kill you, which is fair. So it really got figured out pretty quickly over the span of 2 ESL Open Cup Finals in Korea on Saturday, and then ESL Open Cup North America that following Monday. Zest took Solar to 5 games before he lost, and then Solar just smashed Zest in the next series. So I don't know what Astrea's goal here, or not a goal, I mean, I know his goal, he wants to make the finals, what his idea here for the matchup is going to be. All right, Solar is ready. We're just waiting for Astrea to come back, and we're going to get on in to this next series. All right, so we do have the series loaded on up. Solar is actually in the Team 2 slot now, so he will be able to play this game. It's not going to be Chicken Man versus Astrea. Astrea's back. The players have said ready to go. Beckett Industries will be our fourth map here. Let's see. Can Astrea do it? Can he take us to game number 5? Is this just going to be a clean 3-1? The opposite of what happened between Zest and Armani. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't rooting for Solar, or for Astrea, excuse me, because, again, notionally my teammate, but also, I like game 5s. I'm a sucker for ace matches. I love the drama. And we're going to have to see whether that is something that Astrea will be able to provide for us, as we do have our fourth game, loaded on up. Solar's got that 2-1 lead. Let's see what the players have in store for us. Game number 4, it's on Beckett. Let's go. All right, here we are, spawning in the upper left, or upper right, excuse me, in the blue for Alpha X, trying to take us to a game number 5. Give it up for Astrea. And his opponent here in the bottom left, in the red, he is, for Kites of Gaming, Solar. So this is such a weird map. I mean, it really is a weird map. It is notionally extremely defensible, but not, because it is a 28-second rush distance between the natural and the natural, which makes it the fastest rush distance that we've had for quite a while. I don't know, actually, if there were, I don't know if there's a map that we've had that was faster. I mean, Submarine was 30, and that was a very fast rush distance indeed. But on the flip side, I mean, if you can defend, you're not playing against a Terran that just has these fantastic pushing positions, if you can defend, I mean, look how choked out either third base location is. This is very good for a player that's not a Zerg. And if a Zerg, honestly, if you're playing something that's not a TVC, again, that's kind of the big caveat emptor there. If you're playing something that's not a ZVZ, the ability to get your creep spread across the map real fast is very powerful for a lot of timings. And even if you are playing a ZVT, well, if you go for a 2-base roach timing or something, you're moving across the map. You're getting your queens and your roaches across the map immediately. And it's one of those builds where maybe you do get queens and you do decide to walk them, even if it is against the Terran, just because, again, they are not leaving creep, and they're still going to find their way on into the natural. And they will, of course, deal with Banshees better, things like that, than just a pure Roach Ravager force. Anyway, Fist Adept is going to try to get some damage done here. There we go. One drone does go down, and that's going to be a nice little tax there for Astrea. Now he's going to link on up with a couple more Adepts. And this will once again be a Twilight build. But at the very least, a robo build, and that will get scattered, by the way. This is a entirely open wall. That's gonna be a bit of a problem. Is now, well, Solar is well aware of what, I mean, I think he knew what was happening anyways. With the lack of a Stargate, I mean, there's only one other option, right? I mean, yes, there are other options out of that, but there's only one other really branch of a tech tree, right? It's either Stargate or it's robo, and these Zerglings are just being real annoying here in the main base. Forcing us, actually, you know, that's a lot of Zerglings. Wait, is he? No, he's not all. He's kind of all inning. That's really weird here. Because again, he's throwing behind this. This is not all in. This is just him punishing, and that's what this is. This is just him punishing an exposed pylon. So everything's going to get powered down, and that is a problem indeed. Because I don't believe this backup pylon. I don't believe this covers this gateway. Now it will be able to power the warp gate. This is a delayed warp gate indeed, and we have no other tech other than a robo. This is like 3-gate rope. What is this here from Astrea? Now, this may just be a simple factor of, well, Astrea's just absolutely had his game plan shattered here in this game, which is very possible. But man, this is what do we have? This is 2 gates, a robo, no gas, but you would expect to see a lot more gateways by now if this was an all-in, because you want to be able to get a warp in at home and then, you know, move out on the map. So I guess this is an attempted immortal sentry that Astrea's already gonna have to bail out on, because these Zerglings are just so damn annoying from Solar. What a move here from Solar. Like, it doesn't seem like a lot. Okay, yeah, honestly, I guess it kind of does, right? With the with delaying that warp gate, but it's a minor thing. Really, what this was all precipitated by was getting 2 Zerglings on into the main base and forcing the Adepts to deal with them in the main base, which meant Zerglings could go on in there and really unfettered attack on into the natural. So we have a 5-minute Twilight. We have more and more Immortals on the way, sure, but it's a 2-base Zerg, or a 2-base Protoss. It's a 3-base Zerg. What in the world is Astrea doing in this game, or supposed to do in this game? Alright, so the Adepts are going to keep moving. I mean, this is nice damage here from Astrea. He is getting some damage done, and he is not all that far behind from a worker count. But I mean, Solar, he's going all in here. Yes, he has a hive on the way. Yes, he has a lair on the way, but I think that's a fake more than anything else. It's 12 Zerglings. I think there was like 20 Zerglings on the way. 1 more Roach is on the way. But he may be just anticipating the all-in, which I think is fair, right? This build does look like an all-in from Astrea. Man, if it's an all-in, it is hitting late. He has committed to +1 ground. I'm just really not sure what to think about this. Yeah, so... Oh, okay, never mind. Okay, so this is going to be a Charizard Immortal Archon all-in off of 2 bases that hits a lot later. Yeah, actually, you know what? I'm familiar with this build. Never mind. So it's going to be, what is this, 7 gates? +1, of course. Charge will be done here. You're going to have 2 Archons. You're going to have some Immortals. And it's one of those, what in the world? Is he still all-inning builds? Now, I think part of this may be the fact that, well, Astrea... He had... Solar went on in there and said, oh yeah, you had a game plan, you don't have one anymore, you don't get to do that. But despite that, this is a powerful build. So Astrea, he does have his 3rd base on the way. That is something, but this is not a 3rd base that he ever really expects to mine from. Notice he's got probes on 47. Oh, but there's Storm on the way. Wait, maybe not. Maybe that's not what Astrea is going for. Maybe this is just an attempt at an extremely delayed macro play, banking on the idea that Solar committed a lot to that, and that he has been building things that are that's not economy, so he's not going to be too far behind, even if it is behind. And probes are still being made. This just does not feel good here for Astrea. No, we do see Solar with 4th base on the way, and this, honestly, I've been talking about how good you can spread this creep. I guess that the Adepts actually did a really good job of delaying it, so the creep here is not really all the Zerglings. They're going to get a High Templar, and these High Templar, I mean, they need to survive, right? You need that extra energy for storms to be allow for that defensive utility, and a High Templar. What was it, 1 or was it 2? 1 High Templar going down and a Sentry as well. is really massive damage there for Solar, because realistically, you're not trying to build that many High Templar. You need the gas for other things, and you want to always have even pairs, so you can get your Storms off and then turn them into Archons, have them be a fighting force. So now we do have the army here of Solar. It's going to shark around. But I'm not convinced it can break this. I mean, Astrea and Solar have very similar army supplies, and yes, Astrea's income maybe it's not as good as Solar's is, but it's not terrible. And now with the big Charge Low Warping. Actually, wait, is this going to snipe the lair? Yeah, it looks like it will be. So more and more Zealous warping on in. There's just no, there are no transfuses here for these queens, but you got to actually attack it. You got to actually target it down. And Astrea, he's not going to do that. So the Hive, actually, as it is getting started here, well, it's not going to, it will be saved. And more queens do find their way on in. So maybe that was the play. A couple workers do go down. Astrea does force Solar back. And this game against all odds is going later, which is crazy. I mean, look, Solar, he delayed Warp Gate for like a solid 45 seconds. He kept Astrea in the Stone Age for quite a while, but now Zerg will find their way on into the main base once again. And this is really annoying here. I mean, it's not going to do damage. Actually, it's going to get literally 0 damage done. But what it has done, it has distracted Astrea. It has forced him to do things, to reveal tech that maybe he didn't want to reveal. And Astrea here, I mean, he does have Charged Out Immortal Archon. That's powerful, but he has no Phoenix. He has nothing that really, or he's no Disruptors, really is the big thing. The days of Phoenix into Charged Out Immortal Archon to deal with Lurkers are really kind of gone. So Zerglings, oh, the wall is still up. Oh, there we go. So the wall will get closed once again. Nice job there from Astrea. He will make it so only one Zergling finds his way on into the main base, which will be rapidly cleaned on up. So no skin off Astrea's back there. And honestly, this creep spread is not nearly as good as it could be. I've seen games where the creep is here by 6 minutes. So this, oh, storm drops. Oh, that's cool. That is not something you really ever see, but you know what? 10 drones do go down. Easy as you please. And now we have Astrea here. He's posturing the storms on the army to soften that up before we have the engagement here from Astrea. And he's going to get fantastic force field. So much of this army's going to go on down. What a move here from Astrea. He's going to get so much here in this game. And now, I mean, there are lurkers, sure, but there is an observer. And there's nothing really that's going to be able to knock this down. So we will see the Chargers getting on top of these lurkers immediately. The observer is still fighting strong. We're going to have to see some storms of that. And there we go. But Astrea, he's got a 20 army supply lead. All of these lurkers are dying. We don't have the lurker upgrades yet. GG Astrea. Just like that. He takes game number 4. And we, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to game 5. What a move there from Astrea. The storm drop into softening up part of that army with the rest of the storms. With the force fields, half the army died. And it was just lurkers. Lurkers undefended without their upgrades. They just die. And now Solar, I don't know, maybe he's getting a little bit too cocky here, but it's game number 5. And it's anyone's game at this point. Man, if Astrea 3-2, if Astrea reverse sweeps Solar, of all people, what a move that would be. So game number 5, I was wrong about game 4. I thought that would be on Romantic side. It wasn't. It was on Beckett. Game number 5, though, it will be on 2000 Atmospheres. And now here's the question. Will Astrea go for something like a Stargate play that he lost to with twice? Granted, it was on Lightshade and it was on Oxide, 2 shorter maps. Or does he go with the same idea that has been winning in these last 2 games, with his ground pounding style, with this little bit of fakery that he's been going for? Does Solar learn from this? What does Astrea do? These are the pressing questions. And well, it's only the players who can give us those pressing answers. Game number 5 is loaded on up. It is 2000 Atmospheres. Solar versus Astrea. Winner faces us in the finals. Let's go. Here we are spawning in the bottom left. In the blue, he is for Alpha X, trying to reverse sweep the ace from Kaitsa Gaming. He is Astrea. And his opponent here in the upper right, in the red, he is for Kaitsa Gaming, the Sun. Give it up for Solar. Man, what a series we've had thus far. Solar looked real strong in those first 2 games. I was sitting there, I'm like, man, if Astrea takes even a single game, with how good Solar looks like right now, that is going to be an accomplishment for him. And then Astrea takes game number 3. I'm like, oh, okay, there we go. You know, we're good. And then Astrea takes game number 4 like that with a storm drop on top of the army too to soften it up before those force fields. I mean, that was maestro level play. That was a Van Gogh of a game from Astrea. And now, well, we're gonna have to see whether he has one more masterwork in his pocket before he's gonna have to play a different matchup. Finally, he's gonna play a game on even footing. He's not gonna play a game where his opponent can just sit there and watch his previous series and say, yeah, I think he's weak here, which is obviously what Solar was doing for those first couple of games. And honestly, I think Astrea is probably a lot, in my estimation of Astrea's skill, he's a lot better at PvP than he is at PvZ as well. So if he can fight his way past Solar, well, I think there is a, he's actually looking fairly strong against Est, especially as the night goes later, and considering the server advantage, well, it actually looks fairly good for Astrea if he's able to make his way to the finals. But to do that, well, he's got to face one final test. He's got to win one final challenge. And that is this game number 5. Now it will, oh, okay, so it was Warp Gate that was canceled. There will be a Stargate opener here on this map, which I both like and I don't like. On the one hand, right, I like it because it seems like it's good on this map. It's a longer map. You can actually get your third base up. It's a bit harder to whop queens and roaches across the map. On the other hand, Solar has looked so dominant against this style. He has killed Astrea every time he's tried to play it. Every time Zest tries to play a style like this, he kills Zest too. Hey, Asuna, thank you so much for the follow, my man. Of course, for those of you that are not aware, Asuna is one of the fantastic Drakes. Not the Dragons, not the full pros from Alpha X, but one of the Drakes, one of the fantastic up-and-comers for Alpha X. A fantastic Protoss player who was taken down, unfortunately, rather early in this tournament by... Oh, who took him down? I cast the winner of that series earlier today, and I think the third series of the day. Oh, why am I blanking on this? I'll have to check the bracket after this. But anyway, unfortunately did have his tournament run cut a little bit short. But at the end of the day, well, fantastic player indeed. So make sure to give him your love. Okay, so I like this a lot actually from Astrea. So what we see here, third base on the way, sure. That's fine. It is a single Stargate, single Void Ray into single Oracle. Okay, that's fairly standard. Nothing all that weird right there. The safety trap, yeah, it's gonna get a queen. And oh, you know, there's energy left over, so a couple drones will die as well. But not enough to actually kill the two that were injured. Oh, that's a bit unfortunate. But hey, a queen getting captured. And actually, this blocks a lot of gas mining. That may be a problem here. But behind this, we will see a depth. We will see Glaive play behind this. So this is kind of an iteration of the stats build. It may even just be the stats build. I haven't been paying attention too closely. Where you go and you get your third base as normal, 350. You get your Stargate opener as normal, fine. And then you get 2 additional gateways, so you go up to 4 gateways. And you go on into Glaive Adepts. It's fantastic. Zogger, people were making fun of me for flexing on the nerds earlier with the fact that I have a girlfriend. Well, Zogger's just flexing on them by doing all the unit conversions. But let's be real here. If you're not using bar, if you're sitting here on, you know, the plebeian atmosphere, kilopascals or millimeters mercury or torr, well, you're just that's just plebeian tactics. If you're not using millibars, well, what are you even doing? Oh, and I love this too. So this is Glaive Adept play, sure. But this is not going to be all that committed because Astrea, well, he's got a round 2 in that, round 3, I guess, in that chamber because the first round was the Oracles. So he's going to look to dive on in here. Yes, there will be roaches. There are 5 roaches out here on the map, but it's a dark shrine behind this. It is a forge, it is a robo, it is +1. And notice, he's just trying to kill a bunch of queens. That's always going to be rather nice. So a queen should go on down. He's going to shave on into the main base. And now one queen, finally, he's going to be able to assassinate a queen. Astrea? No, he's not. He's just going to find his way on into the mineral line, and we will start to see the damage get done. Is he going to cancel? No, he's going to move on into the third base, and now he's found an exposed mineral line. This is where things get a little bit dicier, as we're going to see a couple drones, 5, 6. Oh, the drones are a little bit slow on the pull, but Astrea doesn't really notice either. So 6, 7 drones will go on down, and now he's out. Okay. 7 drones will be the iron price that Solar has paid. He's got a Spire on the way. And was this scouted? Where's the Spire? Okay, was this scouted? Oh, on the third base, yes. This was. Okay, so Blink is now on the way. +1 is on the way. Was the Dark Shrine finished? Okay, it was completed. It's always going to be useful in this game. But I don't think we're going to see much from it. Right. Oh, Poppy. There we go. Yeah, no. Poppy looked pretty good, though, Asuna. Like, that's not nothing to be ashamed of. Pig was able to take 1 game off of him just by punishing the greed, but Poppy passed the eye test. He looked pretty good. All right, so we will have Blink on the way here, +1 on as well. And with the Dark Shrine, of course, Astrea can build Archon, so he shouldn't really suffer too much at the hands of this muted play. And, well... Oh, look at this. I love seeing this. We need to see... We need to see more Zerg players do this. It's so easy. You just kind of build Overseers and just kind of rally them over and just delay the production of things. But this means that when the mutas are out, +1 will not be a thing for quite a while, which means these Stalkers are not going to fight nearly as well. Here's also the thing. With +1 on the way here and a War Prism done, Astrea may opt to go aggressive. I don't think that's the case. I mean, +1 Blink Stalker timings are pretty powerful against Muta openings because there's just not a lot that the Muta can do against just a mass ball of Blink Stalkers. That being said, though, there's still enough on the ground where this might be a little bit problematic. Okay, this 4th base, though, really should get taken on down here. Blink is done. +1 is going to be done rather soon, and leaders will fly on into the main base. And where's Astrea dealing with this? Okay, so it's not going to fly in the main base. We will see Warpins. And really what this does is we've been talking about this in previous games, is this delays the tech of Astrea more than anything else. Yeah, he might take some damage, and ideally for Solar he will, but even if he doesn't, even if that is not really the end goal here, it delays the attack of Astrea. It forces him into things that he doesn't want to do, but honestly, with this War Prism here, at least at depth, this is a fantastic move. It forced the mutas home. Where are the mutas? Yeah, it forced the mutas home. And granted, this is not the biggest commitment to mutas that we've ever seen. I think it's only like 7. 6 mutas. What this has done is, again, it forced the mutas home. But also, this is going to be... Oh, I love this. Double Colossus Blade. This is Colossus Disruptor, or Colossus Blink Stalker Sentry into, well, Roach Ravager Baneling. And that's actually pretty good. I mean, if you get your force fields off where they need to be, the Colossus will just 2-3 swipes will just knock down every single Baneling. All right, so this 4th base, though, this should die. This is not something that Astrea will be allowed to keep alive in this game, but his supply is somewhat equivalent. We do have, we will not have extended thermal lance here for this fight, and that's going to be unfortunate, to say the least. But, oh, he actually, no, look at this. Solar's going to take the fight here before the Colossus are out, and that's going to be a big problem indeed. Now, nice force fields there on the high ground. We do have the 2 Colossus out now, and the force fields, #1, are going to be very good indeed. Meanwhile, there's damage getting done on the other side of the map. Okay, I guess that was just, the last 50 depth or something getting some damage. Oh, Oracle maybe diving on in and getting something done. Now Astrea is going to try to take this fight. Force field. Okay, he will get a couple queens that have walked across. And already, I mean, Astrea is looking really good in this hold. We do have Corruptors on the way. And that will be able to knock down this Colossus eventually. But I mean, with all these Blink Stalkers here, I like Vipers a whole lot more against Colossus than I do other things. I mean, that's fair, Zogren. Right now, I'm just trying to remember, like, the most obscure unit of pressure that I can think of. Oh, that reminds me. So, Newton, Pascal, and Einstein. No, who was the third one? That doesn't really matter. Newton, Pascal, and Moore. Sure, Moore. We're sitting there playing hide and go seek because we do have this. Actually, we do have this Banelings coming on in here. Astrea is going to have to get some really good splits. You know what? He's gonna be somewhat decent. Yeah, only 7 workers go down. That's pretty fantastic. Meanwhile, these force fields are gonna be dynamite indeed. None of the Banelings will connect. I'll have to tell that joke later. As again, Astrea, he's trying to take his 4th base, and yes, Banelings are somewhat good against Blink Stalkers, but not nearly as good as they used to be. And yeah, the fourth base mate is not even going to go down. 8 workers have died, sure, but that is going to be minimal damage here. Astrea is on 56 workers, but his army is powerful indeed. And you know what? He does have his fourth base on the way. With another warping round, realistically, he should be able to just move across the map and do something about this army here from Solar. Is this an army that lasts into the late game? No, it's not. But with 4 Colossus against 8 Corruptors, I mean, the Colossus are not going to go down all that quickly. So I think what happens here is we have one more fight from the Zerg player where he tries to go in the game. And he may have a chance. I mean, if the Banelings connect properly, there are going to be 37 of them with +1. Maybe that's what he's going to need. But once that happens, I mean, this is going to be a fantastic move here for Solar to really straight to move across the map. Now, we will have one Colossus going down as we do have the Corruptors trying to take the fight here. Colossus trying to micro their way backwards. Stalkers blinking on top, back on top of these Colossus, trying to keep their compatriots alive. Banelings come crashing in, and this is just not the fight that Solar was looking for. Stalkers are still alive. They're going to blink on top of these Ravagers. And yes, the base does go down, but I'm looking at the army. I'm not looking at the economy. I mean, I guess I'm looking at the economy, but I'm not looking at the base count here, as the Stalkers are going to be able to knock down every single thing that Solar holds dear. Now Astrea, it's his turn to move out on the map. Does he have a Warp Prism? He does not. He only has 1 Colossus. That's a bit of a problem, but these Stalkers are powerful indeed. They will have +2 in 10 seconds. And this means that this base here from Solar, it should get taken on down. I'm a bit worried about the lack of sentries. That could be a problem. And the Colossus does go on down, which means these Zerglings and these Banelings are going to be powerful indeed. It's all down to the blink micro here of Astrea. Does he have what he needs? It looks like he maybe, just maybe, has enough here. As now more and more Stalkers are rallying on in. And not maybe, just maybe, exactly are the Stalkers. They're going to just go on in. They're going to break this third base. They're going to break this game here. Astrea, he's looking dominant here. He held off the push. He held off the timing, and now the drones are getting pulled. Solar, he's losing his economy, he's losing his army, he's losing this game as the Stalkers, they keep rallying across the map. The blink Stalker micro here from Astrea is resplendent, and GG Astrea, he's going to advance on to the finals.